We are in the kitchen with the Park City Culinary Institutes. And we are in the kitchen, as I said, with the Park City Culinary Institute. I've got Lori Moldauer here, as well as Chef Mary Check. Welcome, both of you, to the show.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm happy to have you here.
Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have both of you. It's been far too long. We haven't hung out since Park City Sunday, or a little bit after that, I guess it was. But gosh darn, I'm glad you're here. It's exciting. And of course, Chelsea's probably the happiest because you brought chocolate. Clearly, you know a little too much about my co-host. She's kind of a chocolate freak. So, at any rate, welcome. So, first of all, I guess first and foremost, it's almost time for the next session of the Park City Culinary Institute to start.
Yes, we are starting our next session April 13th.
How about that? Wow. I want to know about some of the chefs that I met when we were up at the Institute a few months ago, back at the other session. Tell me about their progress and how they did, and give me a little background.
Oh, our students are working, a couple of them are at the St. Regis. Doing an amazing job. I mean, what a fun restaurant
awesome, right?
To work at up there.
I'll say.
With Chef McMullen. We've got students working in Salt Lake. We bring them back a lot to help with our events, with our team building and catering events as well. And I think they're all just doing fabulously. Well,
I sure enjoyed meeting them, and I was sure impressed. I was quite taken by their skills and their passion for food, and I think that they get so much of that from the instructors. So let's talk about Mary Check. Give me a little background on Mary. We know she's famous in her own right, not only from obviously from CIA, but also from her cookbooks. So tell me a little about her.
Sure. So when the CIA was building their Napa Valley campus, they were doing a nationwide search for a pastry instructor and recruited Mary Check to write their pastry syllabus and teach their pastry programs out in California. So Mary was actually one of the founding 5 instructors of the CIA at Greystone.
Yes, it was wonderful. A great experience.
That is tremendous.
6 years.
Wow.
And an honor to have you here in Utah.
Thank you.
Well, I have to say, we've talked about this several times before. My passion is for fish. Yours, as I understand, yours was, you love baking.
Yeah.
You love pastry. So tell me a little bit about the connection that you two have. It must be kind of fun because you've been trained by the best as well. So
what's so much fun is that we get to choose what we want to teach. You know, a lot of schools have to live by the syllabus that a national organization gives them, but Mary and I get to sit down and talk about, well, what do we think is relevant to our students?
Her favorite desserts.
I'm sure that's a part of it, right? Good way to start.
To that.
And this happens to be one of them. So
that's always a good place to start with the person that you're working with loves. That's a good way to go. You've done that this morning on the show. Yep. This works well. Chelsea will be up here, I'm sure, in a moment to taste us with us, which I'll gladly invite her. But I kind of want to get to the heart of anything when we talk about pastry for a moment. We often have talked about when you're doing any other recipe, you can kind of go off book a little bit. In fact, it's just a nice guideline. But when it comes to pastry chefing and to baking, precision becomes important, right?
Right, it is precision, and we teach that. And after you get the precision and the science down and the techniques down, you can go off the grid a little bit, which people don't know about baking and pastry. But but you know, it's not like tomorrow you can do that. It takes,
right, you need to know the rules to break them properly.
That's exactly, you do, and that's so true. And I always say, well, don't do what I do, do what I teach you. Which kind of tells them that once they have the confidence in the techniques behind them, they can be a little bit more freeform with their own creativity.
Well, I love it. All right, well, speaking of creativity, I want to be a little creative. What are we making today? What have we got?
We have a classic French confection called a mendiant, which is a chocolate disc, and which I'm going to pipe out here for you. And then it's an assortment of fruits and nuts that you put on top of them. And you see them all over France, and they are quite a classic. So I like, I have almonds and apricots and cranberries, but anything goes. Pistachios, candied ginger is really good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and we made these actually for the first graduation.
Oh, is that right?
It's a little mignardi or petit four for after dinner, after dessert.
One other thing that I've seen in chocolate a lot lately, you can get some of the spicier hot items in chocolates
yes,
now. Quite.
You can get anything in chocolate.
Really put just about anything in there. Huh?
Yeah, a little chili flakes is really good and gives a, you're not expecting it, so it's really kind of fun. Yeah.
I'm kind of fond now of salting things up a little bit too.
Everyone is. That's right.
I'm sure my heart doctor not too thrilled with that, but I like it. It's kind of a fun thing to do. But yeah, really the endless ideas that you can come up with, and this is where that
right.
kind of the creativity comes into it.
Interaction with the students is really fun when they can have a little bit of creativity, and I like to give that in class. So.
One other thing I want to talk about as we get into this, because in general, not very difficult. I think that's something that some people think of when they think of cooking. Well, this is going to be a little bit hard, it's going to be a lot of work. But surprisingly, if you know the little techniques, the little things that help, many of these things are pretty easy to do.
Yeah, students are kind of astounded after I teach them that things aren't as difficult as they kind of think so in their brain,
Right.
Kind of super in your head. Yeah, we over analyze things so much, and it becomes like we stop ourselves from doing things that maybe we shouldn't. So
there you go.
I try to make them feel comfortable that it's all good.
Well, I'm feeling pretty comfortable, so I'm going to start playing with the chocolate.
Okay.
Can we do that?
So yeah, we have the chocolate melted here, and I have the dried fruits and nuts that I picked out. Again, it's apricots and cranberries and almonds. So I'm just going to put this in here like this.
What temperature do we have the chocolate at about? Do you have any idea?
Yeah.
Is it just warm?
Well, it is melted, and then what I did earlier is I did a process called tempering, and that brings all the the chocolate crystals, the cocoa butter crystals in alignment so they set properly.
Okay. So there is a little more to it than just melting it.
There is a little bit more to it, and that's the daunting part of it. But once you master that, again, then you have the creativity. So I just cut a tiny little tip off my pastry bag, and I'll just pipe some little chocolate discs on the pan, like so.
She makes that look pretty easy. The piping part.
It's a lot of skills that, of course, look easy when I do it, but that when you get in there to do it, you have to think about consistency because you want everything the same, and that's the hard part.
Indeed.
Yeah. So
getting those discs the right size, not as easy as it seems.
So then we go and put a couple of the little almonds on each one, like so. Just do a couple right now.
Okay.
And the cranberries. So classically, they get 3 or 4 little pieces of goodies on there.
Excellent.
And it's funny because, there's a lot of tradition in France and so forth, and fascinating that each nut and fruit symbolizes like a county.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's really fascinating, yeah.
Wow.
So.
Well, the traditions are storied
very strong and
very strong. Yeah.
Right, and I like to teach that where things come from and why, and that's gives a lot more education. So basically, that's what we do.
What do we have this on? What is the?
We have this on a non-stick baking mat.
A baking mat.
Yes, called a Silpat mat. That's a brand name, but they're basically you can find them actually in home cooking stores now pretty easily, and they're wonderful for everything, any kind of baking. Instead of the usual plastic wrap or aluminum foil at home, which is used, or parchment paper, which we use in the industry, well, I use pretty much these mats for everything, and because everything peels off really easily.
So they're easy to prepare on, plus they're easy to clean, which is always nice, right?
Exactly.
Cleanup is kind of the part none of us like to do.
Right, they last forever, so
that's great.
Definitely well worth the cost of them.
Now, when you talk about making chocolates like this, what are some of the best ingredients for the chocolate itself? What do you prefer?
Best kind of chocolate?
Yeah, what's your preference as far as the amount of cacao and different things like that, cacao?
If I tell you that, then you're gonna say that I want that kind instead of I always say taste it yourself, what you like, and then you use that. But as for chocolate is just a combination of 3 things. It's cocoa butter, cocoa powder, and sugar.
Okay.
So the ratio of sugar that's added to it is your decision, how sweet or bittersweet you like it. Yeah. Personally, I like really bittersweet.
Me too.
Yeah, really good.
I don't mind that at all.
Like 70% cocoa is pretty much what a lot of people like these days. 70 or 75.
Starting to have a preference towards that.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have said that, right? But
no, I think it's true though. We've certainly seen an increase in the amount of sales of that type. I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, with
available.
everything in, from bacon to ginger to you know, chili peppers and all of that.
Mary, I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
Bacon? You betcha. It sounds like breakfast.
Bacon jam,
It does.
bacon chocolate.
Indeed. So this is just one of, obviously, hundreds of things that you're teaching at the Culinary Institute. What is your favorite to teach? Do you have something that you love more than any other?
You know, I love to teach everything because I love to see the student learning. I really do. But chocolate is probably one of my absolutely most famous, or most favorite things.
It's hard to say favorite. I know, with chefs. No one really likes to say that
chocolate word. And some sugar. And, you know, the students, they want to learn everything, but they really want to gravitate towards something really fun. So chocolate's one of those things that adds the fun element into it, where it's got a lot of science, but it's almost like making a cake is even harder, especially at high altitude. So you got to really hone in on high altitude baking as well as the techniques of just the cake itself.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
Well, while I'm taste testing, Lori, why don't you tell us about some of the opportunities that are available for the students this year and what they'll be enjoying as far as class work is concerned.
Sure. So we're running 3 sessions.
Okay.
There's a spring session, a summer session, and a fall session this year. Each one's 2 months long, and that gives you 8 weeks to really immerse yourself in this type of cooking with people like Mary.
Wow.
It's amazing the access we have to chefs. It's absolutely incredible to have people of the caliber of Chef Mary Czech, or Human Gahari, or Scott Bobrick, or Yu Yamamoto, or Michael Leclerc. Or, you know, the chefs we have are just absolutely amazing. Adam Kreisel. Having access to them and then getting exposed to techniques that even if you've been working in the industry, you don't necessarily learn.
Oh, for sure. In fact, I was spending, and you may or may not remember that I'm a sushi chef. I get to spend some time with you, and I learned a whole bunch of new things that I didn't know.
We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, as you said, there's always something new. There's always something to be learned. Shared experiences, opportunities to figure out new techniques. Those are all part of it.
And you know, the students really like that they have the savory for a few days and then pastry for a few days. They really like the change because it's so different. You know, the pastry from the savory, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had Human in our studio just a little more than a week ago cooking with us, and I was amazed at his variety. He's well beyond, you know, anything from his hometown or anything like that. He's making French, he's making American. It's a little of everything, and then every now and then he mixes them all together, which is quite fascinating as well. But that's really where we are in the world of chefing, is really bringing in flavors and tastes from all over the world. That's an important part of this global society we live in.
It's exposure. It's having people like Mary who teach in India, or you know, Human who opened up the Ritz-Carlton in Osaka, Barcelona, Shanghai, Dubai. People who've really traveled around the world. Yu Yamamoto, second-generation Japanese sushi chef, who does our seafood classes. I mean, having exposure to people who are training people all over the world, and getting that access.
Yeah, I was just in India last September.
Wow.
And I went to 4 different schools in a week, a different school a day, to teach them how to utilize actually American agricultural products in baking. So I did that through baking seminars. Yeah, and that's, you know, I've done that in many Asian countries, and that brings you know, a special education to the students as well.
Well, it's fascinating, and I'm sure for them, an enjoyable learning experience.
Yes.
The Park City Culinary Institute, if someone wants to come to school and have this opportunity to learn and to create, where do they go?
They should call me. You know, you can go to our website, research our programs, but call me so we could talk about your life. I mean, some people want to just cook better at home, but they want professional techniques at home. And call me, we could talk about what that's like. We had students of all ages. We had ages up to 62 in our last program.
Wow.
So
and down to 19.
And down to 19 or even 18. I think as long as you have a high school equivalent, so people who are graduating from Park City High School and want to take the summer program, that's a possibility. For students still in school, we have our spring break program. So there's a boot camp that's not a professional certification, but is a boot camp giving high school students an exposure to cooking during their spring break.
That's tremendous, and anytime you get that, that is a boost towards that career. especially as you're coming out of high school. Trust me when I say you can do better than working in fast food. You can go much better than that, especially if you learn from the professionals first before you take on that first job, which really boosts your career all the way around. Well, guys, thank you so very much. The Park City Culinary Institute website?
ParkCityCulinaryInstitute.com or PCCulinary.com.
All right, well, let's, shall we eat a chocolate on the way out?
That's
We'll
right.
be back with more right here on the Mountain Morning Show. We're expecting a call in from our friend Tom Kelly from USSA and more right after this.